it's come to something now, hasn't it? You know I'm struggling for material when I start making videos about how to wipe your arse. This little bad boy over here is attached to the majority of toilets in Southeast Asia, unless you're very unlucky, and it shoots out a beauty like that, and that is basically how you clean up after doing your business, equivalent to the bidet of the French. A good friend of mine that lived in Thailand for many years once said to me, toilet paper is barbaric. And you know, you do start to you do start to feel that after a while. Actually, if you stay in a place that maybe hasn't got a hose and you're back on the toilet paper, it don't half chafe. Now there's also this thing which, you know, some places you're just going to have a big bucket of water and that in it, and you know what a lot of people do is to kind of use that to just pan the water onto their backside and use their hand to clean it out. Now I've never had to do that actually. I've had some fairly hairy shits on the road, but I've never had to do that, and I hope I never have to do it. But you know, there might come a time. Now, why was I saying this? Oh yeah, because this comes back to a massively important traveller's tip, right? I say massively important. Actually, people don't really care. The left hand, right? Because it is said hand that is used to clean the orifice. The left hand is considered unclean in Southeast Asian culture, basically. Probably also in the Middle East, I would say. Probably a lot of places that have this kind of water bucket system and no toilet paper. Yeah, because the left hand is used for that, it's considered unclean. Thus, you do not eat with it, you do not pick up food with it. As I've mentioned before, a lot of these guys just eat with their hands. They don't use a knife and fork or whatever, you know. They might use the rice itself to pick up the food, you know. And if they see you doing that with your left hand, they're going to think that you're a filthy bastard. Now, in some ways I am a filthy bastard, but that's it, there's no but really. Anyway, yeah, so just says that's a little tip for you. Try and avoid using the left hand for things, and it extends to shaking people's hands with the left hand, giving them something with the left hand. Culturally, it's a bit inappropriate. Having said that, they will know that that is not really our custom, and they won't really hold it against you. You know, sometimes they'll have a laugh and a joke and explain, oh, left hand no good. Other times they'll just go along with it, where they certainly wouldn't bat an eyelid if you give them something, most of them. And you know, even I have shook people's hands with the left hand, just like, oh, hi mate, how you doing, like that. And you know, they're happy to do it, you know what I mean. But it's something, if you want to try and be a really, really good traveller, which I'm not necessarily, but if I could suggest something that would make you a really good traveller and respectful of local culture and customs, which is always nice to do, then yeah, don't use the left hand. Righty is right is right. Yeah, that's good. I made that up just then. Could you tell? That was on the spur of the moment. Right is right. Yeah, and on the subject of what do you call them? Extremities. I think that's the word. On the subject of extremities, I want to talk about my cock. No, sorry, I've got to stop thinking about my cock all the time. These ones, the feet, right? That particularly in Thai culture is also considered unclean. Lowest part of the body. I think the Indians believe that as well. Actually, I think there's a relationship between Buddhism and Hinduism, isn't there? It extends from something like the soul is in the top of the head, and going down to the least important part is the feet. And of course they touch the ground and they're dirty and all that. So it's another thing that if you're in like a Thai, obviously you take your shoes off everywhere you go in this part of the world. You take your slippers off, leave them at the door. They're very particular about that, having you know, because they don't want to have to clean the floor all the time. They do clean the floor all the time anyway, but they really don't want you to walk on it in dirty shoes. So take your shoes off, and don't put your feet on the table. Alright? That is a big no-no. And what is a massive, massive no-no is actually if putting your feet up somewhere, which you shouldn't do, but if you're doing it, or even just sitting down, don't point them at people. Don't point your feet at somebody, because that is considered a bit of an insult. And the last thing you want to point your feet at is like a Buddha. So if there's an icon or a shrine in the middle of the room, you know. And a simple thing, and again, for the most part, they ain't going to hold it against you, and actually they won't care, but just best practice says, don't sit like that, pointing your feet at the shrine, for example. And you know, if need be, you just sit like this or something. You know, just little efforts that you can make to be a more respectful traveller. So yeah, that's it really. Don't point your feet at things. Don't use your left hand for eating and shaking people's hands, and it'll go down well. I mean, it's weird because I'm right-handed. Personally, I use my right hand to wipe my ass with toilet paper. Do you know what I mean? And I don't, you know, I mean, I wash my hands, but so for me, I'd rather eat with my left hand if I had to just choose one. I mean, I eat with my right hand. I don't really care. Obviously, I don't eat if there's like shit on my hand, which there isn't. Yeah, oh yeah, and so I was like eating with my left hand, and an Indonesian guy did say to me, "Oh, could you not do that? It makes me feel a bit strange because we're eating dinner. Maybe it makes him feel queasy. Do you know what I mean?" And I said, "But I use my right hand to clean myself. Do you know what I mean?" So I don't know. It's for me, they're not really things that people should care about, but they are potential issues, and you might be a really good traveller and you might be really off the beaten track, and it might really freak people out if you're doing it, you know, very traditional people, if you're doing these things. And this is my little bit of advice for you. Right, on today's menu we got a bit of fried chicken in there. They're fuckers though, 40 baht for a piece of fried chicken. I'm sure they've charged me Farang price there. You don't get that too often in this country, but I'm sure they have. And that is not a pad thai apparently, because I asked him for pad thai. He said he didn't have it, but it's fried noodles, a bit of seafood. It looks like a little bit of squid in that. And what I love is the flat noodles. Now that to me is what I consider kway teow, right? That's what I thought it was, but apparently the Thais are just basically called kway teow anything that is made the rice noodles, yeah, like vermicelli. So, and I thought it had to be the flat one because that is a rice noodle, but and that's what the Chinese, Malaysians and all that, I think they call kway teow. Oh, did you see that rat there? Fucking rats all over the shop here. There was even one in the bar last night. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, pad thai is a mixture of the flat noodle and the thin little vermicelli, I think, and it's got nuts on it, and I don't know about the meat. I think it can be anything, chicken, seafood, or I think it's a mixture. In fact, in pad thai, I think you always get a mixture. This one is purely seafood, purely one type of noodles, an egg on top. Either way, it's going to taste good. This is all the gear that you put in it. Got the chili flakes there, various types of pepper, sort of vinaigrettes, and sugar. They always put a bit of sugar on it, and I tell you what, it's bloody lovely when you do that. And to drink, that is dragon fruit. Now I might have showed you the dragon fruit before. I pointed it out. I don't know if I've ever eaten one. It looks a bit like a melon. Looks a bit like a watermelon when you open it up. And that's what it's like when it's blended up with a little touch of lime in it. So we're going to have a little go on that. And it's good. No surprises. Right, I'm going to add all that to that, and I'm going to eat the fucker. Just want to show you that lovely bit of fried chicken, and that is the final product with all the condiments on. I'm not sure if you're supposed to use all of them, but I do. Oh, there he is. You see that? Bastards. They're everywhere. Every step I take, I'll make a new friend. Can't stay for long, just turn around and I'm gone again. Maybe tomorrow I wanna settle down. Until tomorrow I just keep moving on. I've got mates all over the place here, haven't I? He's a fussy bastard. I've thrown him a bit of chicken. He sniffed it and he's refused to eat it. Sorry, I know it seems like all I do is walk around talking to myself and eating, and that is pretty true, actually. That's why it looks like that. No, I take that back. All I do is not walk around and eat and go to pubs. I also visit historical landmarks. There you go. The first lift in Hat Yai. That is something pretty special. And presumably this is the second. So that's what it looks like inside the second lift in Hat Yai. It's been a bit uneventful, to be fair. A couple of days here. But I like walking around cities, you know, and I did go to a nightclub last night. A couple of bars and that, as usual. Great bit of live music. I performed Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here for the second night in a row. Yeah, went to a big nightclub, man. Had a really cool bar next to it. Another decent live band in there. Stylish people. Stylish bar. Reasonable drinks, really, to be fair. I mean, you pay 150 baht for a beer in some of these sort of Farang orientated bars. I paid 150 baht for a mojito in there, and it was a good mojito as well. Large and tasty. But then the club was not so good, really. You know, obviously I often base my opinion on my own personal success for the night. It was hard to penetrate in that club, and I mean that figuratively, as well as literally, because it, like, what you get in these places, what's very popular in Asia, is a top tip for the clubbers, is to buy a bottle and have it at the table. It's not beer after beer after beer like we do in our country, or, you know, vodka coke after vodka coke. It's a bottle of spirit and mixer on the table, and you know, that's fine, that's good. In fact, if you're with a group of friends, it represents better value to do that often. But, you know, I like a dance floor, and this club actually had no dance floor at the entire auditorium, shall we say, because it was a big place. The entire auditorium was tables, so everyone is a group of friends on a table. All mixed groups, I think. I don't think there were any like entirely female groups. There was a group of actually gay males. They approached me. They were the only people that approached me though. And you know, sometimes when you try and penetrate a group with the language barrier, yeah, it's not too successful. So, but it's a good night out, you know, decent. I like to check out the nightclubs in each town, and it was a good one, but certainly the sort of place that you're going to need to go with a couple of friends, else you're just going to be like a creepy foreigner roaming around and around everyone's tables, like looking for anyone, like any girls that look up for it. I mean, you get the eye all over the shop, but if they're with a group of geezers, it's hardly worth bothering, you know. So, but yes, a good night out, and I did meet some nice girls that gave me a lift home on the scooter, but declined to come into the hotel at the end of it. So there you go. But yeah, it's all on for you in Hat Yai. If you spend a bit of time here, I think you'll have a good time. Same as every other place that I've been so far. Right, I have had another great night performing. Picked up the guitar this time. Did John Lennon, Jealous Sky, Knocking on Heaven's Door, and something else. I Started a Joke by the Bee Gees. I didn't play the guitar for that, I just sang it. Pretty shit performance, but you know, it was just this first time I've actually played electric guitar and sang in front of a live audience. There was only like 3 people. It was outside the front of a pub, but it was good. And watched some real bands play some fantastic tunes. Now, on the way home, right, I'm staying near the train station, and obviously the streets are teeming with hookers. Unfortunately, they're all ladyboys, right? Varying degrees of quality. 1 or 2 you probably wouldn't know. Most of them, though, you would definitely know. I mean, you go Bangkok, Phuket, there's so many you just wouldn't know, honestly. You wouldn't know it till they were slapping their cock across your face. But I mean, they don't even have cocks. The work that they've gone in, I don't know where they get the money. Well, this is the point. This is what I was going to say. Obviously, they get the money because they get a lot of business. Now, I want to interview some ladyboys for this product. It's looking less and less unlikely. I also wanted to interview some real girls that work in the trade, but they're all, you know, not too keen on being on camera. Not being put on YouTube, certainly. Yeah, and so I'm chatting to these ladyboys. Obviously, they're assuming that I want to have sex with them because I'm like talking to them in the street in the middle of the night, which is a fair assumption given the circumstances. So I'm trying to explain level of English. One of them had really good English, and I thought I was going to get her, but she's a guy's driven past and been straight away like regular customer. She's jumped in the car, and this is the thing that most of them, there's motorbikes stopping for them and chatting to them, and not necessarily taking them, but they're stopping all the time, man. And it's like, I thought this was something that like foreigners did as a like one-off like experiment sort of shit, or maybe get into it and do it more often than once. It's like there's Thai guys doing it all the time, you know. They're here, they're getting work. Do you know what I mean? They must be getting work or they wouldn't be out here. And it's amazing. I mean, don't get me wrong, I fully understand. Some of you might not realise that, you know, we've got this idea of like Western sex tourists go Pattaya, Phuket, Bangkok, yeah. They go to, you know, and it's all Western guys picking up the Thai girls, and yeah, all right, in those places maybe it predominantly is Western guys because they're holiday resorts. As I may have mentioned in another video, it comes from the military, the US military, having R&R stops. When they were in Vietnam, then they would come to Thailand for R&R, and that is how these kind of sex resorts came about, you know, because there was suddenly loads of guys around all hungry for cheap sex. So, you know, we owe the existence of those places to the US military. So there's something that we can thank the US military for, if only one thing. But yeah, but you know, primarily the industry is driven by locals, you know, local money. It's the same all over Asia. I don't know, I think the Chinese more or less invented prostitution and spread it around all of Asia, you know, through, because obviously they're the biggest migrants and travellers and international traders in the world historically, you know. I suppose it sprung up in Europe and whatnot of its own accord, but yeah, in Asia the market is mainly for Asian people, and you might be surprised to know that, but it's a local thing, and it's just these famous resorts that they have in Thailand, where Westerners go, but predominantly the guys trawling these streets. I seen it in another town, in Champon. You know, guys all night long stopping on the motorbikes, the ladies calling them in. You know, and these are not like the girls that you get in Phuket, go-go bars and all that, like amazing, incredible women that maybe could, you know, have a modelling job if they, you know, put their mind to it. These are like, how can we say, more worn out women, you know, and a lot of ladyboys. And yeah, and I know that you know that it's bigger with the locals than it is even with the foreigners. But I didn't actually think that they used ladyboys as much as they do, but they do, and it's going on. I know there's probably a ladyboy being banged in this hotel room, not in this hotel room. Excuse me. Well, there probably has been many banged in this room, but there's probably one being banged in this hotel right now. Yeah, luckily not in this hotel room. I'm not that drunk. You know what I mean? But I don't know. You know, some of them you see in Bangkok, you do wonder whether or not one night you might say, "Oh, fuck it." I mean, I've got my doubts about past experiences as it is. Don't get me wrong. I'm not entirely doubt free, but I think, yeah, I don't think I've ever been there. Came very, very close once in England, believe it or not. In England, in St Albans. Long story. I'm not. I've already said too much. Fuck it. I'm going to bed. I'm going to Malaysia tomorrow. So, see you there.